So let me share a story. Over a decade ago, I was invited to give a couple of lectures at the Chautauqua Institution in western New York State. Some of you may know the place. It's on beautiful Lake Chautauqua. It's a summer experience for adults where about 12,000 people gather each week for a rather unique blend of education, religion, the arts, and recreation. And each week at Chautauqua, there's a guest preacher. And for my week there, this preacher was Fred Craddock from Georgia. He was once named by Newsweek one of the top 10 living preachers in America. He spoke at a morning service, and afterwards we had lunch together, along with some other guests in the Athenaeum. I want you to picture the Athenaeum. It's just a beautiful place. It's like a Victorian hotel. The son-in-law of the founder was Thomas Edison, so he built into the dining room of the hotel giant windows that were 8 feet, 10 feet tall. And he had them there, and he'd sit next to the window, and if the crowds, which he was a rock star in his day, if the crowds came too close, he would simply open the window and step out. Sometimes I wish for windows like that, don't you? And it was also the first in the nation to be lit with electric lights. Again, thanks to Thomas Edison. Well, Fred Craddock and I, in this beautiful structure, shared some small talk, and I was quite taken with this soft-spoken Southerner, now well into his retirement years. Southerners talk slowly, and he would just languidly unfold his stories. Well, we gathered later in the day in a building called the Hall of Philosophy. I was scheduled to speak there the next day, had columns and a giant podium that was about 17 feet above contradiction. And he began to tell the story of his faith, his personal story. He told the story of his childhood. He said it wasn't an easy life I had. He was born in Humboldt, Tennessee. The year was 1928. He spent his very early years on a farm where his father raised fruits and vegetables. His mother stuck Buster Brown stickers in the heels of shoes at the nearby Brown Shoe Company. When the family lost their farm, his parents were devastated, and they moved into town. Times were so difficult they had to borrow coal ash from their neighbors to start a fire of their own. So it was against this backdrop of hardship that Fred told about the place of the church in his life. In this southern folksy way, this is how he told his story. He said, "My mother took us to church and to Sunday school at the Central Avenue Christian Church. My father didn't go. He would complain about Sunday dinner being late when she came home. Sometimes the preacher would call and my father would say, 'I know what the church wants. Church doesn't care about me. Church wants another name, another pledge,' right? Isn't that the name of it? Another name, another pledge." That's what he always said. Sometimes you have a revival, an experience common in the South. Here I might add, a little foreign to most Episcopalians. And pastor would bring the evangelists by, my father would say the same thing. Every time my mother was in the kitchen, nervous, fear of flaring tempers, of somebody being hurt, always my father said, "Church doesn't care about me. Church wants another name, another pledge." I guess I heard it 1,000 times. One time, he didn't say it. He was in the Veterans Hospital. He was down to 73 pounds. They'd taken out his throat and said, "It's too late." They put in a metal tube and x-rays burned into pieces. I flew in to see him. He couldn't speak, couldn't eat. I looked around the room, potted plants and flowers on all the windowsills. A stack of cards 20 inches deep beside his bed. And even that tray where they put the food, if you could eat, on that tray, there was a flower. And all the flowers beside the bed, every card, every blossom, were from persons or groups from the church. He read me. He saw me read one of the cards. He couldn't speak, so he took a Kleenex box. And he wrote on the side of the box a line from Shakespeare. "If my father hadn't written this line, I would not tell you the story," said Fred. He wrote, "In this harsh world, draw your breath in pain. to tell my story. And I said, "What's your story, Daddy?" He wrote, "I was wrong." Fred Craddock was giving witness to the beginnings, the birth pangs of a new creation. God's new creation brought about the simple acts of a faithful and beloved community. A community who, through these acts of love and generosity, challenged, we might even say disrupted, everything Fred Craddock's father thought he knew. Today's gospel of a world coming apart is an urgent reminder to be grounded and discerning, to make life-giving choices in disruptive times, to not be consumed by the toxic rhetoric of our day, to be discerning, to look for the birth pangs of God's new creation, to be faithful, countercultural stewards of the gifts God has entrusted to us, to be living parables of the coming reign of God. Though today's portion of Mark's Gospel, written decades after the death and resurrection of Jesus, may well have been shaped by the Gospel writer based on the needs of an early church struggling with the world come apart, it's nonetheless consistent with the central message of Jesus: to center our lives, to be grounded in what truly matters, to bring about God's new work in the world. In this harsh world, draw your breath in pain to tell my story. Life in the end, you see, is about stories. Stories told and stories lived. Jesus declared that even in the midst of the disruptions, there is a birth story about to take place. A love story about to unfold. Fred Craddock's father was right. In the end, it isn't about another name, another pledge. It's about a love story, written in a stack of cards, 20 inches high, and in a room overflowing with flowers. That is what a community of faith, a countercultural community, is all about. That's what we do. And that's what it means to be God's beloved community, to be a living parable of compassion and grace in the midst of a world of disruption. And speaking of flowers, if you turn the page on that seminary publication whose cover continues to haunt me, inside you'll find a color photograph of a single, slender Mariposa flower arising from the burn zone of what had been a massive fire. For Mariposa flowers, you see, are commonly known to explode in great numbers after a great fire has consumed everything, and they help to recompose the world. It's those Mariposa flowers we're called to be. You and I, sometimes fragile, but powerful signs of God's continuing promise of new life. And that's enough.